Electronic profiles can be used to connect to other sources of information and documents. This can also be our email inboxes. In this video, we'll take a look at how we can create, edit, and configure those connections. The first thing we're going to do is start in our admin menu. This is where the electronic profiles creation starts. This is for creating new ones. We'll look at how we can edit them, existing ones, later in the video. So let's create a new one. And I'm going to go through a couple of different scenarios here on different sources. So let's just go to a new profile. And from here, let's start with shared drive, for example. This repository has already been configured to be able to connect to a couple of different sources. But let's start with our shared drive. Note, shared drive can also be our local drive. It's any Windows or network path that we can access. The location here, we don't need a server. We're not connecting to another system. We're just going to be connecting to a location. I'm going to hit the folder lookup button here and take a look at this here. We can see we can connect to basically anything available to us. A couple of map drives. I'm just going to select my documents here. You can see that the path just gets put in. You can always browse to it using Windows Explorer and then copy paste the address into this bar. Let's take a look at what a SharePoint site maybe looks like. The kind of difference here with this one is that we'll require a server. We actually just going to copy and paste in my WesternIM online SharePoint site here. And the interesting thing we can do here is instead of typing in locations or browsing to one, we actually get a drop down here that will be populated with all the available document libraries, for example. These are all the document libraries available to me on my WesternIM SharePoint site. We can always hook onto our email as well. So if I actually select email, note that whenever you're connecting to one of these, you will get prompted to log in if a login is required. I've already connected to the SharePoint site in my email here, so I won't be getting the prompt. But just note if one is required, you will get the prompt.com here. And we'll do an email. Just like in the SharePoint one, when we connected to email, we actually get a drop down of all of the folders available on my email. I've got tons here from a couple of sample other applications. Here, maybe I want to look at like my sent items, for example. I'm not going to create a new one here. Let's look at some that I've already pre-configured and see what they look like. On the left here, on one of our electronic tabs, I can see all of my profiles I have available to me. Here's Troy's email. This is actually my inbox one. Our SharePoint site, our SharePoint Online. This is one of the document libraries. Network path, this one actually is taking a look at our NAS. You can right click on the electronic profiles to edit them. So I just right clicked on my shared drive sample here and we're going to edit this profile. Here we can see instead of my documents, it's actually a network path to our NAS, some sample documents that we have there. Here's an example of a Documentum site. This is actually a home cabinet in my Documentum repository. These electronic profiles can be synced from the electronic tab, and essentially all those documents and the metadata associated with them will be available. This can be set up in the tab editor, which we refer to the tab editor video for some information on creating and configuring this tab. And also note that when syncing in these electronic profiles, our data engine rule is working in the background to help us find and apply metadata to existing documents. Won't go into too much detail here, but I'll select a document that we synced in. And here we can see that this document, where it exists in our repository now, we actually took out the file extension, we hooked onto the metadata on the Windows system. The electronic profile mapped the total editing time from the source to the total editing time we have as a metadata field in Whisper. The data engine rules video and documentation will give you some more information on how to configure these.